Doctor. How are you?
Good, Laura. It's nice to meet you.
I know. Pleasure to meet you too. And to meet someone with type 1 diabetes is like instant family.
It is. Isn't it funny when you meet somebody new? It's like we understand more about each other than most of our friends. I feel like.
And no explanations that just go in one ear and out the other anyway. So it's really nice. People just get it. And it just feels, there's a relief in it too.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's like we can see each other in a different way. Yeah. Have your T-Mobi on your thing there. I love it. Well, I'm
I do. I did MDI for 26 years. And a year and a half ago, I decided to try a pump.
How did that change your life?
It was drastic. It really was. I was having like 1 to 3 hypos a day, and that was huge in just helping me eliminate a lot of those. It doesn't take care of all of them, of course, but oh my God, I can do 1 to 3 a week now. So just life changing for sure, because my quality of life was really suffering, trying to keep tight control, but also not having the hypos.
It's hard on MDI. It definitely is. I think it's harder to get that tight control without increasing the hypos, which is one of the things that I love the closed loop pumps do. You get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm so excited you're here today. I spent the morning watching some of your videos, more of them, and it was a good morning because I was laughing. You were so funny. But I love that you've just taken type 1 on in stride and made it a good thing in your life. And that's what I aim to do. So when I found you, when you connected with me on Instagram, I thought, oh, we've got to get together and talk about this because I think we have a similar mission.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit. I'd love to hear about just how you got into this. So I watched your video, I think it was from a while ago on CNN, and you had mentioned that after your diagnosis, it was really hard for you. So how did you go from hard diagnosis, making peace and kind of going through the process of grief to where you are today as far as making something good out of it? How did that go for you?
It was interesting because I was working in the OR at the time. I was a surgical technologist.
Oh, okay.
And I obviously had witnessed many of the devastating effects of type 1 diabetes, the blindness, the leg amputations, heart disease, all of it. And I knew it was a serious disease, of course. And not only that, but my dad was a type 1 also for almost 50 years. So I grew up saying that I don't want. And then he was a LADA, also latent autoimmune diabetes in adults. He was diagnosed at the age of 34. So when I was diagnosed, I was at the GYN and I was having recurrent yeast infections, which a lot of people don't feel comfortable talking about, but it is a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so as soon as they tested my glucose, you have a 2+ glucose in your urine. And I'm like, oh
Oh,
God. And I just fell to my knees because I knew what it was. I said, you don't have to even tell me type 1 diabetes. Oh, we're not sure yet. But I knew
right.
because of my father. Yeah, I was really hit hard by it because, of course, working in the OR, and it's an overwhelming diagnosis. You don't really get a lot of training. I'm not good at math. And it was hard. I was really depressed. So, what happened was I decided to go to a diabetes support group. And I thought, oh, this is great. Everyone's saying connect with other people, and connection is great. So I went, and each time I went, I felt worse. I was like, this is depressing me more, really, because everyone just goes around and complains about all the issues. And they said, you're funny. Why don't you do something to make us laugh? And so that was 25 years ago. So I went home, and my thing is I prayed for a cure. And what I got was a sense of humor.
Love that.
Just, I didn't have any boundaries or limitations. I said, I'm just going to go all out with let creativity just come right through me and just start writing the jokes and the comedy and come up with the outfit and the whole thing. And so that I went and I presented at the group, and it was just a hit. They absolutely loved it. And it just took off from there. So, like I said, that was 25 years ago. And it really was part of my healing process. I think as much as I think it helped to heal so many others in saying, look at where I said, we're in this for the long haul. And I think a diagnosis of diabetes can make you angry and miserable, but it can make you even worse if you started out that way.
It puts a magnifying glass on you a little bit.
So I just decided that I didn't want to lead an angry and bitter life. And like you said, the grief. I think it was really important for me to get therapy and go through the stages of grief and honor each one of them. I think a lot of people don't even understand that they're going through grief of a loss of life as you knew it. Sometimes I miss the freedom that I didn't even know I had.
Yeah.
And so I like to present something fun, but also I like to give the truth about diabetes too. I never want to sugarcoat it. And it was funny when I was diagnosed, I was sitting in the nurse's office and she was also a type 1 and she was
Okay.
teaching me injections. And it was really powerful coming from someone like you as a doctor. It's powerful when you share with people that are type 1 because it's like, you understand what I'm going through. You've been there at the beginning. And I remember seeing a sign on her wall, and it said, make the most of the best and the least of the worst. And I never forgot that. And I thought, one day I'm going to be able to do that. And that's when I know I'll be healed with this disease. So that's the beginning. And it just went on from there. So,
I
yeah.
love that because I think you're so right. We don't have a cure right yet. And so the cure for us is finding how to live a happy, healthy life with just the way we are right now with our diabetes and our blood sugar swings as much as we can manage them. And I think that is the cure right now.
Yeah. If I could find a way to be happy about having diabetes, I wouldn't need a cure.
Then diabetes doesn't matter because if you didn't
Yeah,
have diabetes, that would be the main goal anyway. Yeah.
exactly.
I love
No,
that.
I also think that in the beginning, I felt like lifeless, like dead inside. And there is a quote that's in alternative medicine that talks about no sweetness left in life for the people diagnosed with diabetes. And I think there's some truth to that because I felt not alive anymore. And so I went and I signed up for a tandem skydive. And it was the most amazing experience that I've ever had. And I just feel like you have to do things to expand your diabetic comfort zone. And that's the way you reclaim your power is right to slowly to be able to find joy. You have to take those risks and take those chances to see what you can do with it and not focus on what you lost and what you can't do and seek inspiration from everywhere.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's true is that it's rebuilding confidence within yourself of what you're capable of, what your body's capable of. And that I think you see at any age of diagnosis. And I remember that clearly when I started dance team in high school. I thought, can I do this? And when I wanted to go to med school, it's like, could I do that with diabetes? I don't think. And then the night shifts and residency, I was like, there's no way. But I made it. But it was like small steps of confidence. And it takes that. And you have to push yourself. Otherwise, you get stuck in that place of feeling like you don't have that kind of ownership over your life anymore.
Absolutely.
Tell me about you do, it sounds like lots of different stand-up routines. You've got a great online presence. What are your kind of big pieces that you talk about when you're in person with people? Is it mostly comedy? Do you tell stories like this? What are your kind of performances look like? And what do people resonate with there?
So I do it's usually a 20 to 30-minute comedy show. And
Okay.
I've done it at American Diabetes Expos. I've done it at diabetes support groups. I've done it for some of the insulin pump companies, their sales team meetings to inspire them. diabetes camps. And my message, and this was something that came to me, was don't diabetes, live diabetes. And that's always been the glucose goddess message. And yes, we have this disease, but let's focus on living. How can we feel empowered and do the things that we want to do? Yes, life is going to be completely different. There's a lot of interruptions along the way, but you seek joy in those small moments of along the way, of just the in-betweens of the alarms and the chaos of diabetes. You just really have to celebrate all those small moments and those small wins too.
Yeah, and I like that because I think that's true for life in general, right? It's like diabetes teaches us that lesson that's true for all of life. And I've found so many things in my life that have been true that diabetes have taught me, like persistence and diligence. We can't quit. So it's made me more diligent. And I think there are so many skills I've grown because of my diabetes that I may not have had the stimulus to if I didn't have it, that make me more of who I am today. And it seems like you're there too. So tell me a little bit too about your online presence. You do a lot of fun humor pieces. Are you at a place where you are connecting with people often online, or is it mostly posting? What does it look like for you in the day-to-day when you're back home not doing comedy shows?
Yeah, I mean, I work full time. I'm integrating this and I make it happen. And it's been great with virtual, like Zoom and whatnot, because I'm able to do virtual shows all around the world. I just did one for a youth group in India. And so it's super exciting because people reach out from anywhere. I have a support group coming up in February that's Stony Brook University Diabetes Support Group. And so it's just super exciting. Some of it's still live, but I think virtual has just expanded it to be able to reach audiences all over the world and just share a message of hope and optimism and inspiration. And I live this every day, and I live with the fear, and fear is a very powerful motivator. And just as you said, I don't think I'd be as disciplined with life and eating and trying to do healthy behaviors and exercise and all the things we should do anyway, even without diabetes, respecting our body and feeding it good things in our minds. So, a whole mind, body, spirit approach to just self care. And I think that diabetes has really set the basis of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think to what you said earlier, working in the OR, is that we see in healthcare so many people that learn about health after they're diagnosed with high cholesterol at 40 or diabetes at 50, or they get their first heart attack at 60, and then they start to learn about how to take care of themselves. And how lucky are we that we had the stimulus early in life to say, okay, how do I need to eat for my body? How much do I need to move? How am I going to make this work? And I do think that now with the new diabetes technology and the better blood glucose outcomes, we're going to be at a place where we're a lot healthier than our peers if we really take it on. And so that part I think is lucky because you've seen it. You've seen those people come in and learn last minute where it's a lot harder to turn things around.
It really is. And I just say I almost feel like type 2 diabetes, or this word pre-diabetes, I just really find that not helpful sometimes. I know it's a big term in medical, but I just feel like because type 1, we were forced to take it seriously. And I think pre-diabetes says to me that's not really that serious. And yet the long-term effects are cumulative and irreversible. And so you want to jump on board right away. And I think that's actually a blessing for us. Here I am 27 years later. I turned 61 over the summer, and I'm like, how did I get here?
Younger than you are. That's amazing.
Yeah, everyone's looking online. I'm like following the endo docs, and they're like, lift weights. I'm like, okay. And
Yeah, look at you.
but yeah, strength training. And I think just self care is the way you're going to take your power back. It's saying no to what everybody else is doing. I never eat when everybody else is eating. I don't follow that. If it's 6 o'clock and everyone sits down to dinner and my alarms already went off an hour ago and I ate, I'm not eating again. I'm full, I'm satisfied. But I also learned ways to manipulate diabetes as much as it manipulates me. Some days I play for peace because the alarms have just gone off. And alarm fatigue is real. And some days I'm just like, okay, I don't have the discipline to do low carb all the time, but I like low carb because it gives me more peace. And I think there was a real defiance stage for years that I was in. And I think parents with children with diabetes also are feeling that defiant stage and that whole, I can eat whatever I want. Yes, I can. And I've proved that over and over. And the defiance, though, also, there was a lot of chaos in the proving of that. And so now I know I can play when I want to. I have ice cream, I have pizza. I do whatever I want when I want. I choose the day and the time. And then I do pretty much low carb for peace. I don't have to prove anymore. I feel great. I look at our glucose. The CGM is our glucose battery and our level of energy. And so when I see that and you're in the yellow range, you're above, it's draining your battery. When you're in range, you're going to feel good. My mood's better, which is better for everybody. And when I'm low, so much energy is just drained, right? It's just, and that lingers for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, those lows can take longer, I think, to get over from energetically when your blood sugar's back up, but still 30 minutes later, you're not back feeling good.
no, and the brain cells certainly haven't regrouped either.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to have this thing when I was in school that if I had a low, I and treated it when I was better, I deserved a cup of coffee, a cup of black
Yeah.
coffee. We don't need to overdo it, but I'll make up for the energy. So stuck on it now. But yeah, that's great. So tell me, so I think what you're saying about the nutrition piece is it's this relationship with self-care that we have is so important. And it's not just getting to a place where we're allowing ourselves to do everything we would want to do, right? Eat donuts every day for breakfast, etc., pizza all the time. Because that's not, we wouldn't want to do that if we were a human, regardless of diabetes. And so, how do we figure out a sweet spot for nutrition for our bodies and not just wrap our whole life around diabetes? And I know I used to be in a place when I was younger, and I've met lots of women, I think mostly that have been in here, but men too, is where you're almost overly restrictive, where you have a fear of foods. And that we see is very common in the literature, kind of from the studies that we've looked at in this. And so it's this middle ground. And I love the way you described it is you can go and play and do these things, but you also know what works for you most of the time. And you've got habits that you can fall into that are more peaceful. And I think that's a really nice way to describe balance. And my balance is similar to that. Is the food that I purchase for my house, I know works for me. I know how to bolus for it. It's all kind of whole food, very healthy, not as much, I would say more moderate carb, not super low carb for me. I found that impacted my periods when I did it too long, but it works. But then on the weekend, we went camping last weekend. So I had s'mores as we were camping. That's all. It was my husband's birthday. So those kind of things. I think that it's nice to have that flexibility and just figure out also how to have the peace. And in that part, it's easy to swing from one side to the other kind of until you end up at your nice middle.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And I also think there's so much guilt and shame around the numbers. And I think that you really have to have a mind shift of the numbers are just data. I look at my glucose meter. Let's even see what I'm at right now. Oh, yeah. But I'm always prepared for the lows. 147, we'll do a little
Nice.
roll call.
Let's see what I got here. I got 114.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, got the same little curve here.
Yep, nice. I was stressed. You could see the stress line that
Oh,
went
yeah.
to 180 or whatever right before all of this. So,
Oh, I get that too. That's funny. Yeah.
and I think that you got to realize that's a huge factor too in your data. But I used to take the numbers personal. It's, oh, shame on me, or I ate that, so now I'm being punished. And I stopped. That just wasn't healthy thinking. And I just thought, you know what? It's data, it's information. So now I look at this and I say, I reference this as a compass to a mountain climber, that it gives you data and you can decide which direction you need to go in order to reach your goal. If you were climbing Mount Everest and that was your goal, is to peak Mount Everest, and you were 10 degrees off, just oh, forget it, I'm not going then. No, you'd take a reading and correct your course. So it's constant course correcting. Take a reading, correct your course. Take a reading, correct your course until you reach your goal. And that's what it takes. And it doesn't, no guilt, no shame. We didn't fail. Our stupid pancreases did.
We didn't ask for this.
But a mind shift is necessary because, and I think even the mothers of children that are doing their best to make it happen. It's no 2 days are the same. And once you figure out the rules for one day, the next day is going to be different. And there's a point where you just have to say, you know what? I know with my skills and my knowledge and my ability that I'm high right now, but I know I can also get that back in range and feel better. It's getting knocked down 7 times, getting up 8. That's, you just keep going and you just have to keep pushing, you'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think so many people that I meet, I work at summer camps with kids with type 1, and so many kids think about it like a report card or a grade. And it's tempting to do that, especially with the numbers. And it can be so limiting when we think about it, is that I'm good or bad because I'm getting this certain response. And so much of it, and you even touched on this earlier on, is so much of it is we're not given all the tools. It's not like we're diagnosed with diabetes and we have this download of all the skills we need in order to manage our blood sugar within the first even month. And then after that, we can figure it out and we've got all the tools we need. I'm still learning tools 20 years later. I'm sure you are too, especially with new technology and it's different things. I learned just the last couple of years about how elevation changes my blood sugar and just different things. And it's hard to judge ourselves on getting outcomes for tools that we don't have. It's like we're judging ourselves for doing something that we were never really taught how to do. And I think that you mentioned this as well, but I think typically children have more robust education after diagnosis. They've got the family support, the parents are going to them with classes, so they're not alone in learning it. And that diabetes education is really standardized. But in my experience, a lot of adults with diagnosed diabetes, type 1, type 2 prediabetes, they don't get that diabetes educator experience. And if they do, for type 1 specifically, those diabetes educators are often primarily helping people with type 2 diabetes. And so you don't get that type 1 specific support. And that is really challenging. So a lot of adults that are diagnosed, I don't think get all the tools they need. And sometimes it can take a lot longer for them to learn what they really need in order to be able to manage it, to know how to course correct all those times.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you need a college course in it, and you are in this crash course, and you're too overwhelmed, really, to even hear anything with the shock, and it just nothing goes in. And that's the time, that's the only time you have to learn it. And I do coach, and I coach. What I'm really passionate about is the newly diagnosed, because we all remember that place and how devastating and overwhelming it was, and how heavy. And I really have a passion for just coaching the newly diagnosed. And virtual, I was able to coach someone in Romania. She was just diagnosed, 17 years old. And I help them learn about insulin carb ratio. I can sense where they're at, whether they're not overloading them with information, but helping them understand of what's going to help them understand even the terminology. But there's a million different ways to play this game too. And no two people play it the same. And that's okay. It's about finding your way, something that works for you. I remember a woman called me and she said, My brother was just in the hospital for 2 weeks in a coma, and she said he's diabetic and he's too afraid to go home and live alone. And she said, "Do you think you can help?" I said, "Absolutely." So every morning I would go up and we'd test our blood sugar side by side. I'm like, "Okay, Charlie, let's do this." And we'd inject together. I was on MDI. He was learning. I said, "Okay, this is how we do it." And little by little, I'm too afraid to go anywhere. And I remembered that place. I didn't want to go out for fear of having a low at the grocery store while driving. And I said, "You know what? If you can go downstairs and get the mail in the mailbox and that's it for the day, you do that." I said, "If you feel a little bit more ambitious and you have the energy, take a walk around the building once and come back in. And that's it." I said, "Little by little, we're going to get you there." Maybe 6 months later, he went home and started living alone. And I would see my car during a snowstorm and it had been brushed off. And I'm like on my way to work, I'm like, wow, what angel is doing this for me, right? And so I found a note on my car and it said, "Thanks, coach. You saved my life." And it's just moments like that. That's just really, I think, what it's all about is helping raise confidence in those who feel powerless,
Yeah.
teaching them the skills that they didn't get to be able to manage this disease and taking it slow with them at their pace and remembering where we all came from in that journey.
I love that story. And you're right. It's that individual pace. We all have to walk through that grief and balancing learning in our own time. And it's not going to be the same order for anyone or it's not going to look the same. And it really is finding a way you can do that and just honoring what you need individually as you walk through that. So I love that you're helping people in that way. That's amazing. What a gorgeous story.
I feel like I was given the gift of finding my way to acceptance through humor. And like I say, as soon as I have no sense of humor left, I know it's time to get back into therapy. So if I lose,
That's your barometer.
that's my barometer. Because if I am not having a sense of humor about this, and the other thing too, though, is there's frustrations every day. We can't sugarcoat it. With the alarms going off, I must yell "Bess" 100 times a day. What do you want from my life now? I'm just yelling it out. And one thing for me is I do strength training and exercise purely for my mental health. The other benefits are great too, but it's for my mental health. It's to take out those anger and frustrations. And the Glucose Goddess, my creative and my writing, is a way to channel some of that. All my memes or whatever, that's a way to channel the energy, get it out of your body. Whether it's journaling, find a way to just express it, but don't bottle it up inside.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what can be so helpful about finding connections of people who get it, who aren't complaining all the time, because I know what you mean there, but really talking it out can be helpful. Just the connection, what we're having here today, this will hold me over for a week or so, just because I know we each get it. And that's what I love about these camps for kids with diabetes or different events that we have is those touch points, I think help us also express it. But I'm a journal, or that's what I do.
I think we're permeable to some degree, but I don't watch the 6 o'clock news when I come home from work because there's already was enough stress in my life. I don't want to put that into my system before I go off to bed. You're trying to get better quality sleep. You're trying to eat better. You're trying to be healthier. In menopause, I've got all the lack of hormones.
A whole other chapter. Yeah.
Insulin resistance. Welcome to a new world. And you're constantly dealing with the next thing, you know. I asked my healer and I said, "How will I know when I'm healed?" And every time I would go, I would say, "How will I know?" And she's, "You'll know." And I showed up one day and I said, "I know the answer." I said, "When the gratitude has conquered the loss." And that's when I knew overall I had been healed by my humor, by my jokes, by my what was given to me as a gift was meant to be shared. And when you're grateful that you're alive, despite what's going on and the challenges that come with living a life with type 1 diabetes.
Yeah. Yeah. The moment you choose, there's more good than bad with it.
Yeah.
And that is a moment, I don't know about you, but I have to re-choose often. But when I
Off.
live through that choice, my life works.
Yes.
Feel better. Yeah.
And that's what I mean about you do re-choose it and you're challenged and it can like, okay, I'm at my max here. And you seek inspiration. You go for a walk, you look at nature, seek inspiration. I don't wait for it to come to me. I watch stories of people overcoming disability, like that have had a leg amputated or and are skiing, or these things just inspire me. I love quotes. Quotes have always inspired me. And so I literally, it's a choice to seek inspiration versus negativity.
Yeah, the constant choice. You have something on your Instagram that I just loved, and it was one of the things I saw that I was like, I've got to interview this girl. This is amazing. Is you took the Dexcom data for time and range and a weekly graph, and I'll put it up on the video here, but you put time and discipline. Instead, took out the blood sugar in range, time and self-care, time and resilience, time and exercise, time and hope, time and courage, time and gratitude. And that, I think, those are the things we should measure ourselves by, right? Because that's really what impacts our quality of life. So I love that. And I think your story is amazing. So we only have a little bit of time left. So if you want to tell us more about how we can find you, how your coaching works, I'd love for you to get that in. And this has been amazing. You're so inspiring. And I think that there's a lot to learn from you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's really great to connect with you, and hopefully down the line I'll get to meet you in person.
Yeah, I
Uh,
love that.
that would be super cool. I don't know where, at a convention or whatnot. But if anyone wants to reach me, the best place is my website. It's www.diabetescomedy.com. I'm also on Instagram at Glucose Goddess Laura. Just reach out to me. I'm available for shows. I do virtual diabetes camps, whatever. Sales teams was super fun for the sales force of a pump company because a lot of them are type 1s. I didn't realize that. But they do hire a lot of type 1s. And my best audience is a type 1 audience because it's all diabetes jokes. So I don't have to explain anything, and so it was really great. I had a lot of fun doing that as well.
Amazing. I love it. I'm so impressed by you. I think you're doing great things. And we'll link all your resources in our comments.